interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you some breaking news. There's been reports all over the area of something crazy going on, something big. People's homes, their minds even, are being taken over by something called, what is it they're calling it? They're calling it Bad Movie Debate.
What up, nerds? We're back with Bad Movie Debate. This week I have with me Justin Hendrick. Justin, say hey.
Hey, followers.
Yes, my many followers that I have. Please follow and rate, but we'll talk more about that later. Anyway, so today we are going to be talking about The Last Airbender. Not Avatar The Last Airbender, the amazing show, The Last Airbender movie made by M. Night Shyamalan himself.
The live action.
Yeah, masterpiece. That's one word for it. So as we do, we're gonna go over our top 5 favorite like cartoon adaptations as kind of the genre we went. But first, I want to go over the polls from Instagram for the last movie, John Tucker Must Die, and what all y'all thought. And it's not evenly split at all. It was 89% good, 11% bad for John Tucker Must Die. And I think I'm the only one who voted for it to be bad.
John Tucker's a good one. It's very comical and then also some good eye candy.
There is, yes, the the vegan slut character, because that's all she is, which is one of my points. It's very attractive. She's very cute.
The best scene of all time in any kind of teen comedy movie is the panties give you air. they give you you get hot, so you get hot.
The way he flips that, that shit is amazing. That shit is absolutely amazing. So, and everybody agrees. So that one is good. Everyone loves it across the board, except for the critics. But once again, who cares what critics say?
Effing critics.
Yeah, they're annoying as fuck. But anyway, so Justin, what are your top 5 cartoon adaptation movies? What are your 5? I got a halfway decent list here.
Are we talking about just cartoon adaptation?
No, I mean you can do any adaptation. Any adaptation at all. I focused on cartoon ones just because this is a cartoon one, and there's a lot of good ones out there. Sure. But I mean, book or like any other kind of a series that jumped, like whatever.
Nostalgia wise, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, is I love Percy Jackson. I know the first one has its faults, but Percy Jackson is if you're watching it as someone who hasn't read the books, you completely enjoy it. If you read it from somebody who has read the books, love the series, you probably don't like it just because it is PG. They PG'd it down.
Yeah, that's true, and that's like one. This isn't in my list, but like Aragon.
Yeah,
that one is one of the. I might honestly, we need to shut that down. Nick would probably want to talk to me about that one. He's very upset about that one. But continue, yes.
But still, even Aragon. I mean, for someone like I said, someone who like me never read the books of Aragon, I enjoy his connection with Saphira. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I mean, Nick's read the books. I almost guarantee this, so that's why he probably has different opinions and hopes. Yep. This is why, like, same thing with Avatar: The Last Airbender. The movie is a lot of people's expectations are really high. They want to see it more portrayed in a real life scenario, and I think they fumbled the bag, and that's because I know the source material, and it's not a good adaptation of it. And
that's true. That's true. What are your other 4 though? We'll get into all that, but let's give you some what's the word? Some pedigree of your taste, so people can trust you.
So adaptations that I really like, the second Batman trilogy, and that's from the closely relation to the comic book. I think it's Batman Comics True Detective, like 52. And I never read 52, but once the directors made the director's cut and they said that, hey, that's what they're basing it off of, it made me fall in love with the movie even more. And the cinematography in that movie is just one of the most beautiful things. And I think that's what makes a good adaptation. It's like when you can portray it and, hey, that stuff I could see, or that stuff like I know that building, or I know that scenery, or it makes me feel like I'm immersed in their world. That's what good adaptations should do. The Harry Potter adaptations, like especially the first Goblet of Fire, is one of the most literal translations of a book. Mainly a few different name changes and extra characters that, of course, movies don't have enough time to put all that content into one thing. But the Harry Potter series is probably definitely up there for me. And a lot of what Marvel does, too. I love what they do, and they still bring their own twists, and that's a good adaptation will always do.
Yeah,
that.
I mean Marvel in general, especially when you come to comic books, like Marvel in general is hitting it pretty good. You know, I mean, I will say, we won't get into it, but like I will say some of the more recent stuff, like after Endgame and stuff, it's starting to not hit as good, but I mean, but it's still doing it.
Yeah,
you know, and it's still worth watching.
It very much so, and
across the board,
and it keeps you in. Especially with a great series like that, and they have their whole team. It's just like a full team of just, hey, this is what we're basing off of. Is this comic book accurate, or is this character's design accurate at all?
Yeah, like most movies have you have your like continuity people to be like, oh, this glass was empty and now it's full again out of nowhere in this scene, so like that doesn't work. You need to like edit it differently and stuff like that. Like, you know, Marvel has like a whole team of people who are like, they watch the movie and they're like, is this right? Like, is this good with the comics? And they're like, yes or no. Like, they have to. And I respect that. That's a good thing. So my top 5, I did. I went with a little bit more cartoony, but now that I think about it, you brought up comic book ones. It still kind of fits. But first, Scooby-Doo. James Gunn's Scooby-Doo.
I forgot about the old.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Scooby-Doo is so good. You know, people always talk about like, oh, it was supposed to be, he wanted to make a rated R one and like really lean into like make it really adult and stuff. And on the one hand, I really do want to see that. I would have loved to have seen that, especially with James Gunn in charge. It would have been awesome. But like, what we still get that still toes the line between adult and kid humor is so fucking great.
And it was perfect for our generation. We watched Scooby-Doo as probably 6 to 9-year-old cartoon version, and then this adaptation comes out when we're 11, 12 years old at that
Something
time.
Like that, yeah, because we had just gotten, because we grew up with those 4 incredible Scooby-Doo movies.
Correct.
The fucking
Cyber Chase, dude, was Cyber Chase was the goat.
Fucking Witch's Ghost, Zombie Island. Zombie Island literally has like a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, which like a Scooby-Doo made for TV movie has a 94% or something like that. Animated too. Like that's insane. Like it's insane. And Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed is another one because they're both so good, and they bring their own like their own thing to it. And you've got, you know, Sarah Michelle Gellar as fucking Daphne, you got Freddie Prinze Jr. as Freddie, and they're married in real life, and like so their chemistry is amazing. And then you got Linda Cardellini, I forget how to pronounce her name. She's Hawkeye's wife. Speaking of Marvel, she is that Velma? That's Velma. And she's in Freaks and Geeks. Like she's amazing, and like so she's super good. And then Matthew Lillard is Shaggy. Yes. There's literally nobody else who could have done it.
Who do you know who voiced the?
I don't know who. I don't know off the top of my head.
I just thought about that.
We're here to talk about Last Airbender, so I don't want to take the time to look up Scooby Doo. We can talk about how good that is for so long. And then I have How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Jim Carrey. I didn't think about good. I was looking up some list of like cartoon specific ones, and I was like, "Fuck, that one is really, really fucking good."
Jim Carrey just like is also made for that part. Jim Carrey's made for the over top roles.
There's literally nobody else in the world who could have done that and brought that energy
and Lindy Lou
humor
with her crazy ass hair.
The crazy ass hair, yeah. Like, good lord,
Dr. Tar's hair should have been.
Yeah, exactly. Save it. We'll get into it. And then I have now I'll get to my DC one because I actually watched this pretty recently. The Long Halloween 2-part movie they did, the Batman Long Halloween. Yes. So like it's like hour and a half each, so it's like 3 hours.
And that was portrayed by the new Batman, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my fucking god, the Long Halloween animated one. They change things that they have to just to put it into a 3 hour two-part movie, 3 hours total, give or take. But oh my god, it was so good. The way that they straight up take panels from the original graphic novel, and like that's what the shot is, and they like hold it long enough for you to appreciate the original art and stuff,
and point and say, "Hey,
I remember like it's and like that shit."
That's where comics probably gets to have the edge on a lot of the stuff, is where a lot of people are taking words
especially
from a book.
Animated, especially with the animated.
You can literally just make a frame as close as you can, where people just makes you catch your eye and it makes you get that nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Because The Long Halloween was probably the first like actual full blown graphic novel I read back in high school. So I'd always loved Batman and stuff and like comics in general, but like the movies and the shows and stuff. I never really read them, but then I read that one. and now I have just so many that I've been reading and like have read ever since then, because it really opened my eyes to like how literary it can actually be and stuff. And when it translates into a film like that, it's so good,
especially with that much staple, the Batman character.
Yeah, exactly.
Below comic book character, maybe behind.
Yeah,
Spider-Man alone.
True. Special shout out to the Year One adaptation where they did with Bryan Cranston as Jim Gordon. That one was also incredible. But my last one on my list is, and this is a pure nostalgia because it's probably not really a good movie, but I loved it so much growing up, and with the recent rise of Brandon Fraser coming back into our lives, George of the Jungle.
I was going to say
George of the Jungle is so fucking good, dude. It is so good. Oh my god, it was the funniest shit when I was a kid. He's so good at being a fucking goofy fucking wild man. Like, God, Brendan Fraser, I'm so happy he's back in the mainstream and people have missed him. I'm so happy.
As soon as you said Brendan Fraser, I instantly knew what you were talking about. And I'm not even thought about George in the Jungle.
Thought about that movie.
In the corner of my memory banks.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. I will say I don't always think about George of the Jungle, but without getting too much into it, with my job, I actually come across that movie a lot. And
they released the VHS.
Yeah, I come across that movie a lot, fucking putting George of the Jungle DVDs on the shelves at my job. And so I have been thinking about it recently, and then I was looking at a list to like get my top 5 going, and that one was on like every list I saw, and like all these like flashbacks of watching it growing up came to me, and I was like, fuck, that movie is so good.
From what I remember, and this, don't quote me on this because it's been probably 10 years since I've seen that movie, is he had like a really good
his shit was so good. Yes,
mating call, as
like mating call, war cry, whatever the fuck they called it. Yes, it was so fucking good. Oh my god, it was so good. So, all right, so those are our top 5 adaptations. Got some comic books, got some cartoon, got some whatever, some book with Harry Potter, which Harry Potter is definitely a special mention for me too. Watch it every Christmas time because it's so cozy and great. It's just amazing. But now we're gonna get into some scores for the Last Airbender. We're gonna talk about the the Rotten Tomato, IMDb, and the Metacritic. So I was actually surprised with how low the Rotten Tomatoes critic score was on this one.
Justifiably so.
I mean, it is, and it makes sense. We literally just both sat here and watched it before we started recording again, and like, it's not, I don't know, it's pretty harsh. It's a 5% critic score. 5%. Which means it may be one of the lowest scored Rotten Tomato movies I've ever watched.
Well, what is it? It's not. I know Grammy has the whammy. What's the Oscar called?
It's the Razzies.
The Razzies.
The Golden Raspberry or the Razzies.
I remember that when it was for the Oscars, I remember it winning like 9 or 10 Razzies.
Oh yeah, it won. It
like almost every category you can have.
Sweep the Razzies.
Just Game of Thrones it out there.
Yeah, it was fucking like, it was just insane. But the audience score is a little bit nicer, let's say, but still pretty bad. 30% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes sense.
It's just
because it's higher.
You got to think about it. I mean, maybe, and this is what I view it as, when I was 9 to 13, or a little bit older than that, watching the original series on TV and on Nickelodeon, and then maybe that 12-year-old had like a 6-year-old brother. Yeah. Who was then probably 10 when the movie came out. Yeah. So maybe he's probably 35%.
Yeah, he might be the 35%.
It's like, hey, so it's still like my mental brain power can't compute.
So you're saying the 30% is from children
and parents, probably parents,
and their parents writing the reviews for them.
Well, not. I mean, just parents too. You got
or just their parents.
Some of this viewer score probably definitely comes from parents.
Well, yeah. We'll get into more of that and why I have points of why it's a good movie, because it is a kids movie, and that is a part of what makes it better than people give it shit for. But lastly, real quick, Metacritic had a 20 and an audience of 2.5, and IMDb had a 4 out of 10. So you're failing very bad. They're about to put you I don't even know. You're not even allowed to go to school anymore with those kind of.
I wonder how much his budget was.
I didn't look into it. I was kind of scared after seeing that 5% to like double check, because I check them and sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's worth mentioning, sometimes it's not. But
Shyamalan has the money.
He's got plenty of money. Back when he was good, shots fired. Yeah. He hasn't been good in a while. No offense. I hear that show he has on Apple TV is not that bad, but who cares?
Split wasn't terribly bad.
Split wasn't terrible.
It kept you loose, entertained, and like on your edge.
Yeah, and then with the twist at the very end of like, oh my god, it's part of the Unbreakable world. Yes. Like that was kind of fun. And James McAvoy was amazing playing all like 25 fucking people.
British actresses do it better, dude.
They really do. It's more of an art than like a job.
Yes.
In Britain, so I will give them that. Sorry, American actors. America does make the best movies. It's our best export, but the actors from England are a little bit more focused, I guess you could say.
They're like their accents. How do you code switch like that? Where you can just
they're really
English
good.
Accent.
It's a lot easier to go to an American accent, I feel like, too. And they're just better at it, end up switching up accents. So now we're going to talk about some reviews. I've got one good, one bad, as I do. And we're going to go over the bad one first, because the good one is something, we'll say. So John Walsh for The Independent says, quote, "A breathtakingly clueless, misconceived, stupid, humorless, unexciting, dim, dumb Farrago, the worst film I've seen in years." That's John Walsh from The Independent, which is a British publication, so, maybe that played a part of it. Thoughts on that quote, Justin?
Well, I mean, he's angry, as many people were when this movie came out.
He's quite upset. There's a lot of adjectives, and they're all bad.
But he's hitting it on the points where this movie tremendously failed, especially what I thought, the humor. Avatar, The Last Airbender TV series was very light going. I mean, they had heavier tones that they would kind of smooth you into, but it was definitely more of it was for kids. It was on Nickelodeon,
but it's hilarious.
But exactly,
like it's genuinely funny. The show,
and then with just horror undertones that they kind of put out there through the season, especially not in the first season. I would say maybe some of the heavier tones come in the second and third season for sure.
Yeah, it does get a little bit heavier and darker as you get closer to the end. But
in these characters, they don't make you want to like fall or want to follow their stories at all. And
you don't give a shit about these characters.
Not really at all. Yeah. Just because the dialogue they have between them too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the good review, which again is honestly like not even good, but I literally like only found 2 good reviews. So Scott Bowles for USA Today says, quote, "He hasn't mastered the craft yet, but M. Night Shyamalan may be on to something with his action movie thing." So the good review for this movie, the best review quote I could find for this movie was, "This movie wasn't that good, but M. Night Shyamalan doing action, I can see the potential of it being better." And he gave it like I think it was like 2.5 out of 4 stars for like USA Today, which is a positive review for their scaling system.
I wonder if he was talking about like the element action or like the hand-to-hand combat.
He was talking about. I read the whole article and which is very short because it was a good one for this movie. But he was talking about like the action sequences and stuff, and like and part of it the CGI action sequences of the bending and stuff like that, and how that was incorporated into, which is something that I did agree with. I did think that was like pretty good. The action sequences are like exactly what you think they're going to be, and they're done well. They're done different, but they're done well. While still hitting that mark. Obviously, it's not like, it's not. Let's put it this way. Going back to the MCU. It's not the best action sequences like you see in like the Captain America movies or Endgame, but it's not as bad as Iron Fist action sequences. It's somewhere in the middle. So like there's potential there with the fight scenes.
What I thought is the fight scenes and the non-bending fight scenes were really great.
Yes.
The elemental fight scenes I thought were ass. You have 8-7 people doing this whole 10-step choreography dance for one little rock just to go cross-scope.
Yes, I did specifically. Rewatching it.
It made me laugh.
Yeah. Again, watching it with you just now for the first time in so many years, I was also like, why are there like 5 to 8 people dance, like doing their little thing, and only one little rock goes, and then one guy comes in and he like shoots it and makes it like 5 different ones and like attack the guy, which is great, but also like, what we've seen like in the show again, going to the show.
The crazy and the crazy thing about that is it's like it's not linear either with like the power scaling of how the Avatar the movie went. Just because, like I said, there's 9 people doing that one little rock across panel of the screen, but then you see Iroh by himself, and
you
with
mean
one
Iroh?
We'll get to the stupid.
We'll talk about the pronunciation in a minute. Yeah,
but you see him all by himself with just like one little step. Create dragon wings out of nothing, which also was just all show, and just once again for like the best bending ability besides the huge waterfall at the very end. It was very like, hey, this is my poker card. I mean, it's my bluffer. You better run. And Commander Zhao, and I guess this would be the only good part I had about it. It's just especially since I watched the TV series. They made Commander, or what it should have been, Admiral Zhao, like. The pussy little bitch that he should be. I go, he's a pussy ass bitch in the series.
So that's your favorite part? Is that they make him a pussy?
That and to me, I thought Zuko would play the part. We are
going to talk more about Zuko because I have a lot of things to say about him because he's the standout in this movie for the positive. So you like Zuko and how he was done, and you like Commander, aka Admiral Zhao, being a pussy, as he's supposed to.
Well, yeah, and especially, and we'll talk about the Zuko part later on, but like you can tell he's probably the only one in this whole room or whole movie that's probably actually watched the last series. Just because you can hear some of his lines were exactly what Zuko said in season 1. I must agree,
and that's really devastating too. That makes it a hard movie to root for because. I was reading some stuff about M. Night Shyamalan and like the making of the movie, and like he made it because he watched the show with his kids and then he pitched it. Like he wanted to make this because his kids liked it, and the way it like
we're not watching the same show.
Yeah, we're apparently not watching the same show. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like maybe he has a different background with the show and everything. So maybe he thought it needed to be told differently, and this is how he was going to go about it. Like sure, but like that is kind of like I was like. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, he's never seen it. Yeah. But I found out then getting ready for this that he has. And like, oh shit.
Maybe that was his cover. I mean, maybe. Just kind of get a little flack. It's like, here you go. This is the real thing. It's just my perspective.
Yeah, it's just my perspective. Fucking whatever, M. Night. But yeah, so what I didn't like, if you can't tell for those listening, Justin's saying it's garbage and I'm going to argue that it's good. What I didn't like though is, what's with all the fucking white people? Are you kidding me? Like this is like so. The only non-white people are Zuko,
the Fire Nation. I would say the whole Fire Nation.
The whole Fire Nation is pretty standard.
South Indian,
like Indian,
not South Indian. I was
Southeast Asian. Like from Asia, like or India, and then everybody else who's important is fucking. White as fucking snow.
Yes.
Which is like completely in contradiction to the source material and like not even the source material, but what the source material is based on.
Well, the spiritual mentality of it. I mean, like we colonizing that too now.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to colonize this fucking fake world that was directly inspired by Eastern philosophy and storytelling. So that's obviously very hard to wrap my head around and be like, okay, cool.
Especially coming from a POC, a person from an Asian background.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess 2010 was still too early to ask for representation, huh? Like,
no, when he pitched, he's like, yes. But I think they would look better light skinned.
So, but it would be way sicker if they were white. Like M. Night Shyamalan, exactly. Yeah, he is a POC. He's a person.
But he said, "Hey, but give me the Fire Nation. let me make the antagonist of the whole movie.
And then the
people of color.
And the producers were like, oh, the bad people are not white.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we'll give you all the money you want.
We'll do that though.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like, it's infuriating. It was infuriating then. It was infuriating before. It's infuriating still to this day. It's just like, because I 100% believe that's what happened. The fucking white people in charge of the studios were like, no, and then he was like, what if they were the bad guys? And they're like, perfect. Like, perfect. And they're like,
He's like, at least it gives me some kind of representation.
Yeah, give me something. Yeah, I guess I'll do something because my fucking kids look like the bad guys now. Like,
I want them to say, "Hey, yo." I mean, I can almost guarantee now that I'm thinking about it. That's probably what he did. It's like, "Hey, I want my kids to at least see themselves on TV."
Exactly, and like getting such. M. Night Shyamalan again. Like his early career was incredible. He was falling off. He wanted to do something different. His kids loved the show. He was like, I could do this. This would be fun. This would be cool. My kids would love it. But again, Hollywood being the fucking beast that it is, like he had to do what he could to get it done, and I feel like he really did want to get it done, and that he had fun doing it. You know what I mean? But we'll get into whether it truly hit the mark or not. And the first thing I really do want to talk about, as we've kind of been teasing this whole time, is Zuko.
Okay. We'll start with the best. What would you call the not a climax, but
best
arc.
Yes,
the best arc.
Yes, exactly.
Of any character ever made. That's top 5.
It's the best. It's one of the best arcs of all time in the show, and they really hit it in this movie very well.
I agree.
And honestly, one of the main reasons is because Dev Patel. Sorry, I'm white, and I said his name was Dave, not Dev. God damn it, his name is Dev Patel, not Dave. I'm sorry, Justin. He's the only kid actor who knows how to fucking act.
Yes,
he's so good.
He's also wasn't he on
Slumdog?
Slumdog Millionaire. Yeah.
He's in the Green Knight,
exactly.
which is
and Life of Pi too. But I think Life of Pi happened after this.
I think so. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. If anybody wants to DM me and tell me I'm an idiot that I don't know that's fine. The movie was fine and the book's better. But
I was just about to say, I was like, we can add that one to the list.
It doesn't matter.
One of my curriculum books I had to read. It was just like, come on, dude. I knew this one.
But anyway, yeah, Dev Patel he is absolutely incredible. But I think part of the reason why he is so incredible is that not only is because he's an amazing actor, but because M. Night Shyamalan takes more time fleshing his character out. Yeah. Like when we see him getting made fun of on the boat by Admiral
Zhao.
We see that, and like his acting and his nonverbal acting as he's getting angrier and angrier as he's starting to firebend the candle towards him to fucking like snipe his ass and get rid of him. Like that acting without saying a word is the best acting out of any of the young kids.
I agree.
And that any of them do, even when they have deep monologues and very important moments. But also, I think, because M. Night Shyamalan wrote, produced, and directed this movie, I think M. Night Shyamalan took the time, because of his dark past with movies and film, he understood that character better and adapted him in a better, more realistic way, and then they cast the perfect person to do it. And that makes this movie very, very, like, that's one of the things that makes this movie a lot better, just to see the scenes of his arc, and because they devote a lot more time to it. Because there's a lot of pacing issues with the whole overall narrative, but they take the time to showcase Dev Patel's acting and the writing around his like tragic hero character, and stuff like that.
And I think, and I was really happy that they included it on this, and when I rewatch, I also thought it was probably the best part of the movie when the blue spirit. Yes, I thought that was almost perfectly onto that episode of when he rescues Aang, Aang's terror. I mean, they left the backstory out, but of course, TV series going to a movie, you got to cut some things out for plot and pacing. But that scene, and that was also, I would say, the best action scene is when Zuko was fighting with his swords and we were back to back, and Aang's using his airbender all around. Now he's still doing the whole bring it on dance routine just to get one gust of wind and blow people back 3 inches. But I visually,
it is a lot of work to get there. For like it's like 20 steps backwards just to get 2 steps forward with the dancing and again, like you were saying, the bending
but visually,
fight scene.
Visually, I think it was probably the most appealing part. And if I was make a trailer of that movie and want people to come see that movie, I would.
And I think that's what Scott from USA Today was trying to get at. Was like, I think he was talking about that scene specifically.
Yeah.
Because like that fight scene, I remember like just now watching it and being like, fuck, this is like a really sick ass fight scene, and like this is a kids movie, and it's like bordering on like pretty quality like fucking shit, like, and it was great. And I do think so
crazy though, real quick though.
What?
Zuko's only defense is swords, and this is a problem I had with the TV series too. But they kind of fleshed it out a little bit more about, especially paneling towards Zuko.
Mm-hmm.
But you fight with a double-bladed sword, and you didn't kill a single person. You're gonna tell me a PG movie that this man just barely. And I think they do play it off well because I mean the soldiers are wearing black, so therefore you can't
exactly.
See.
And that's one of my biggest arguments like for this movie is at the end of the day it is a PG kids movie. He made it for his kids, so he made it a PG movie. So you said it's not funny, like the humor is like misses the mark. As an adult, yes, it does, but it is for kids. So there's a lot of really good kid humor in it. You know what I mean? Like when Katara tries to fight the guys when they first go into the Earth Kingdom, and she accidentally freezes Zuko.
Sokka.
Again,
I'm gonna try my best to do the old, the movie actual way.
Exactly. But when she accidentally fucking gets him and stuff, and he's like, like that's hilarious to a child. You know what I mean?
And that I would say
that humor is good for children.
Yeah, for kids.
You know what I mean? And so like it plays well and it works in the storytelling. And it's at the right time.
But Sokka wasn't Sokka, and Sokka wasn't Sokka in this movie to me. I thought like a lot of his, I mean, let's just say how it is. Season 1 Sokka is misogynist. He's he really is. Especially if you watch like the very first 4 or 5 episodes, he degrades his sister a lot.
He's very degrading to his sister, and he's a how do I say this? A pussy hound.
Yes.
Like he is literally like any girl that's kind of cute that like is someone he's not related to, he's like, "What's up, girl? What's up?
They cut out the whole Kyoshi words just to like a 10-second bit. Of, hey, this was your past life two generations ago, and she was an earthbender.
Anyway, we're gonna move on now. Like you'll learn earthbending eventually in the next movie, which obviously didn't happen.
Maybe this be Sokka's rebound. That hey, we'll say when we mentioned it for 10 seconds in the first movie.
Exactly, and like so that's obviously very frustrating because like it's like you don't get and that is one of the things that one of the reasons I have issues with this movie is the only character that is actually fleshed out is Zuko. Fucking Dave Patel. Yeah. Like fucking he's the only one who has an arc. Except for Aang. Not Ong. Okay, real quick sidebar. We just need to go. So we all know it as Aang. In the fucking movie, they call him Ong. And they call him the Avatar.
Yeah.
Even though Nickelodeon was one of the producers for this movie, and they still mispronounce everything along the way. All the fucking it's Zuko, not Zuko. Like S with instead of a Z.
And Iro.
Honestly, the Ira thing.
No, that's what pisses me off. The Sokka or the Avatar.
Yeah, the Avatar. You're the Avatar.
Maybe. Oh my god. Doesn't Azula say like that in the TV series? Maybe she just put
once or twice, like, but at the end, but they're like everyone's like he's the Avatar.
Yeah, the Avatar. There's an AV, not a
the Avatar. Like that's just it's so infuriating, and it like really as someone who's a fan of the show, as most people who went to see this movie probably are, it's infuriating. That's infuriating. But regardless, he's the only character. Dev Patel's the only character who's actually like really fleshed out, and everybody else is, except for Aang. Aang's hero's journey arc in this, because remember, it was supposed to be a trilogy. It was supposed to be the 3 books. You know what I mean? It was supposed to follow that. It was book 1, book 2, book 3, right? That was the plan. Mm-hmm. So we see book 1 water. Aang, the end of this movie the whole movie is Aang is talking about how the hero's journey was thrust upon him, and he denied it. And that's why he ended up being gone for 100 years. But then you slowly but surely see him like starting the rebellion amongst the Earth Kingdom, and then slowly but surely being a hero, even though that's never what he wanted to do. Like when the guy betrays him when he goes to see Ruko and like all that stuff, and he betrays him, he's like, you were gone and I suffered, so like I have to do this. Like they're paying me, like I have to do this so I can like thrive because you were gone, because you chose to fucking sit this one out, bud, and I hate you, so like I'm gonna have to betray you. And then and like that's like a defining moment for his character, and like for Ong and Aang, and wanting to like be a good person. And then you get the blue spirit coming and saving him, and then he goes to leave, and then he's like, no, I need to save him because he saved me. Like that's another defining moment of like the hero's journey being thrust upon him and him accepting it. And then we get finally all the way to the end, and he's talking to the dragon, and he's like, fucking use the ocean, bud. Like, you have to. And he finally does it, and he saves everybody, and then everybody goes to bow down to him, and he finally bows down back to them. So this whole thing is Aang's hero's journey, and him finally accepting his responsibility of being the Avatar. And I think in those moments when we see, like, those plot points and those moments of him having the hero's journey like put on him and him accepting it is really good storytelling at the end of the day, and like makes his, like, as the main character, makes his journey more appealing and interesting. And then you combine that with Dev Patel and Zuko's journey, it's like pretty well crafted. Like they're two arcs of redemption and acceptance of who they are and what they need to do.
You're basing on, and I can hear what you're saying, but I will say this, and as far as Aang's journey that you're speaking of, they skipped a crucial part, like maybe the first 6 or 7 episodes of the series, when that's mainly just the background of, you don't get to know the characters. But for Aang's first words, or very first conversation of dialogue with more than one actor on the scene is, yes, I'm the Avatar, I ran away from home, I must be getting back now. Aang didn't tell us he ran away until episode 4 of the series.
It's true. That's true, but we're going off of we're doing a whole season condensed into one.
Yeah, but you can't,
hour and 37-minute movie, so it has to be told differently.
Yeah, but you also can compare, when you're saying, hey, you're making a case of his progression. You can't just take a whole story of his progression, and I don't know where Aang left off. If I'm watching this movie that's never seen Avatar: Last Airbender, I don't know why he's trying to do this, or what even the Avatar is, because once again, they never explained what the Avatar was. And the Avatar state, which is fine, the tattoos we'll get to when we talk about how this looks and everything. But when it comes down to Aang as a character, is flawed. Is probably, I think, to be honest, one of the most flawed characters in the whole thing. I think he's the most apparently white character there is.
Yes.
Maybe Katara, but
yeah,
Aang for sure. I can definitely tell this is a 6 to 8 year old white boy.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as them bringing an actual, like, not the source material, but like the philosophies, the culture of it, the Avatar state, which is a dragon, which is, it's all types of weird, because, hey, the Avatar state for us was a time for him to talk to his past ancestors, or his past generation, or his past avatars, so that way he can get wisdom. Now we just have this dragon that he doesn't know why he's going into. And also they give us like a lot of pointless, for dialogue wise, he goes, oh, a monk can once meditate for 4 days without food or water, and it's just one blatantly pointless piece of dialogue that we don't need.
Sure.
like he can go over, hey, and he tells us all the time, like, he says, they told me I couldn't have a family and I couldn't have a life.
So what you're saying is it's like they hint at the, like, what the Avatar is and the responsibilities and like the conditions and circumstances of being the Avatar without really telling us.
But without even knowing at all what this is or what his duties are. And he's always talking about, hey, this is my duty to be Avatar. What are these duties?
Yeah, like what duties?
Yeah, exactly. What does that mean?
I mean, they do. I mean, they obviously like say like it's like, well, to keep harmony between the 4 nations and stuff. But like, there's a lot more to it, obviously, and everything. And I feel like if we had gotten the 2 other movies Like if they had been like, we're still going to do the second movie,
they could have fleshed
they could have fleshed it out a little bit more there. Because I think what the point of this movie was that they were obviously going to do a trilogy.
Yes.
And do the 3 books and get into it. And I think the second one would have been more of more focus on like that and what it means, because the whole point of this movie was him getting the hero's journey and accepting it, and then it would go into more, and the second one would go into more of the like, what does it actually mean now that I've accepted it, because he didn't get trained on it in this movie. And you know what I mean?
Another part that like I would say is not a crucial part, but what makes this movie, and which makes just a TV series, especially 20 episodes first season,
give or take,
of 22-minute episodes, pack that into an hour and a half, 2 hours, and really for kids you really got an hour and a half. Their spans, you gotta make that movie a 90 to 100 minute movie,
hour and 37 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly. So you really have to condense that a lot, and maybe there's a lot of stuff they left on the cutting board of directing and just
if they ever released a director's cut, I would imagine it would be at least 2 hours,
if not 3. I mean, they probably had intentions to put a lot of the Kyoshi Wars in, maybe go into a little background of the air temples a little bit more, also go into Aang, the Avatar state. But I feel like really all M. Shyamalan had to do was, and there's no way you can make a perfect film, especially when taking all the material, like we're saying, is all you have to do is, one, get us to like the characters, tell us where we're going, tell us where we're going in season 2 and season 3, and then just really ultimately set up a few good action scenes, set Zuko's the protagonist for the next 2.5 seasons, 3 what's called 2.5 movies, and just get us to the next point. I mean, because all book 1 was supposed to be is water. Yeah. And not even talking about this. In the movie, they say, we know that in Avatar, the Last Airbender TV series, that Aang is really naturally talented in waterbending. Yeah. This whole movie, until he fights Master Paku, is all about
him sucking.
Yeah, exactly. That and Katara being good at it, and now Katara is like and not teaching. It's a really weird dynamic. I would not have been mad if Katara was a really good waterbender and didn't have to teach, just because that's what the Avatar is learn all the elements. But the thing is, if you're going to do it a little bit better, and at least have Katara teach her, not just Katara just sit there and wait. And then we don't even see Katara in any of the training scenes for the most part. So then somehow Katara just magically becomes master.
Yeah, then at the end she's fighting Zuko, and like it's like going toe to toe with him, and he's been trained his whole fucking life, and she's like right there with him until he finally gets a blow on her.
You don't see, and then she gets just knocked out.
and she's fucking asleep.
It's the best firebending. I guess the actual attack of it was when he did the 2 side, the one right here, and she blocked with the right, and then the left.
And then the one came in,
and then knocked her out. But also, this shows that she's not as great as a waterbender as she was in the series. And as book 1 Katara was not was not that great until probably the last 3 or 4 episodes. This one, she naturally turns great within not even being on camera doing waterbending.
Yeah, like apparently, it's like, oh yeah, you guys all know, and stuff, and and I mean, it's like, well, what if they don't know? What if you haven't seen it? Like, how did she get so good all of a sudden? They find the scroll, whatever. We see her training one time with it, whatever.
Which is crazy, because he didn't M. Shyamalan, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to give him a water scroll. They could have just been actually practicing themselves.
They could have just been practicing.
But they also tried to tie in that one thing where they got the scroll from the pirates in the TV series.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like one of the things that I think works, because again, it's a PG kids movie, is they try to toe the line of like getting everything, as much of it as they can in there, while still making it digestible for kids. Because if we get we're getting into some deep Avatar the show lore right now, you know what I mean? Yes. And but it's a kids movie.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So it's and I think it works. It's like I've seen the show, and I'm like, okay, yeah, she's all of a sudden magically powerful and stuff. Like, we've seen her practicing once, and she has the scroll that we can assume she's reading, but a kid can make those connections on their own and still enjoy it and stuff. And So, like, it works in the best possible way. The best way to adapt this live action is to do a series.
Yes.
You know, obviously, so you can take the time to really learn those things.
And flesh those
Go to the fucking library and have all that stuff, and like they can find like their own knowledge there, while the Fire Nation finds their own, because they reference it and stuff and everything. And that's when they learn about in the show, that's when they learn about the comet, you know, because like we only really get a couple talking about of the comet, especially at the end, like what would be a post-credit scene if it wasn't immediately after the final scene. Like they would have run some credits, then done it to tease the next one and stuff. And it's like, yeah, like if the second one had happened, there would be a lot more focus on the comet. Maybe then they would go to the library and stuff. So I do think that for what it was of like a build up into the next two, it really, really, really does work. But then we never got those two.
Jacob, I will say this: you're giving these 9 to 10-year-olds a lot of credit when it comes to picking up on one small 15-second clip.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And saying, I get what their goal is.
You're flipping what I'm saying. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying like because they're kids, they would get, if you bog them down with all this detail and lore, they're going to get bored and they're going to like not be able to keep up with the story. But with just this little bit of like, oh, there's this thing, like, oh, there's that thing, like they can focus on the main story, which is Aang's hero's journey arc and his acceptance of being a hero and being the Avatar and stuff. And I think all that kind of works.
Your arc, and my arc are two different things. Like I don't see, and you're saying hey, his arc is really good in this movie. Is where does he go from this? Is he still doing the hero's journey in season 2 and season 3? And that's not arc. That's just that's linear.
No, it is. It's a complete story that's been told because we meet him and we learn pretty soon that you know, he was supposed to be the Avatar and then he ran away and stuff, and like he never bowed. He didn't do the bow, so he never accepted it. And by the end, he does accept it.
He does.
And I would say that is a complete story.
That is. I would say as a protagonist goes, I mean, if you're doing the bare minimum, that's where you can call his arc. Where
again, it's the bare minimum because it's a fucking kids movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's more intense kids movies. There's Percy Jackson and other ones that you see the progression of his character. Where same Percy Jackson didn't want this title, they never asked for this title. You see him want it, and then you see him own up to it, but not in the first. I would say the first. What do you call a trilogy? The first. I guess not a trilogy, but like the 3 parts of the movie.
First act.
Yeah, the first act of the movie. By the time he's out of the first act, he's already realized what you're saying. I would have said, if Aang had saved the world after the first act, I think he would have did the bow then.
But he didn't accept it.
Yeah, I'm saying I think he would have accepted it.
I mean, yeah.
I think if the Rock people over here, the Earth Nation, and when they were captives, if they had bowed down to him, I think he would have took it then.
Well, I think it's what it is he had unconsciously accepted it, and then he consciously accepts it at the end, and like that's what the whole story is about. And then you have the Dev Patel Zuko like anti-hero, like antagonist arc, and like they work in conjunction with each other about how they're both becoming the heroes that they're destined to be. Because a lot of this movie is about destiny. You got the fucking Moon Girl, you know, she's like, I'm out, that's why I was born. Fucking dead in the water, literally. And then like that's what this whole thing is about. It's about destiny and doing the right thing, even in the face of like unbeatable odds and stuff like that, which is a very inspiring thing for kids, because again, it's a kids movie. My whole argument's based on that it's a kids movie. So please don't poke at it too much.
If you look at it any type of more depth, you won't find it.
Oh, you're saying there's no depth to this children's movie?
I'm saying.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that my Sophie dog over here was more entertained with this movie than I was.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she loved it, obviously.
But I would say the funniest scene, and it's one of the parts that just makes me laugh. Not laugh because it's actually funny, but laugh because how bad it is. It's when Aang is in the Earth tab getting captured with the other Earthbenders. He goes, "What if I were to tell you that the Avatar is alive?" And he goes, "The Avatar's been dead for more than 100 years. I'm alive." Except for reveals his hood. I'm alive. I just thought that was like it's from the bowling what's called clip. Who do you think you are? I am.
Okay, I mean that is fair. That is fair that he's literally
the dialogue in this movie, and that's where I disagree. I disagree with you when you say, "Hey," because how you get the arc conveyed, especially when these white actors can't portray a cactus plant. Okay, because you have to do their words, and I think the dialogue is extremely lacking.
Okay. So what you're saying is you understand that the structure of Aang's arc makes sense and is there, but how we actually, as an audience, see that arc come to fruition falls flat because of the acting and the dialogue.
And how rushed it is.
And how rushed it is.
And I mean, for me to be drawn into characters, either you're extremely entertaining visually. It has to be some really crazy dialogue, not crazy dialogue, but just compelling dialogue.
Just compelling, yeah. Well written dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And third, probably just make me care what their story and what the background is and how the environment and the sub characters and the people who have the two lines. Actually, there's two lines mean something. Then, hey, this guy threw a pebble at me. He's arrested. He arrests everybody there. Does not notice that the Avatar is because he has his hood on still. Then magically, next scene, we're there with all the other Earth Nation. They don't have handcuffs on anymore, and this kid's never to be seen again. Which I'm guessing is supposed to be Haru, but Haru's supposed to be way older than a 6-year-old boy who hides behind his dad.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess the best way for me to put it is the bones are there of the structure, but
bones were there because it's an adaptation. We know how the story should go.
Yeah, of course the bones are there because it's adapted from one of the best fucking shows that's ever happened. So,
and I wouldn't have been mad if honestly if they had just picked the scene straight from what the TV series had and just real life actors said it.
Yeah, like if it was like a word for word. Yeah,
watch M. Night Shyamalan just write him a $50 million check, screenwriting, and it's like, hey, I'm making my own words.
Like, no, I'm gonna write it. Yeah, I can write it.
Just plagiarize the whole thing.
Yeah, because you literally could have. God damn it! Yeah, you're right. Because he could have literally just taken like the most important scenes and then cut out anything else that wasn't important, and then made a 2-hour movie, and it would have been fine. And it would have been exactly what we wanted and expected.
At least a little higher. It probably would have got like a 40% run.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
because
something.
The worst part, this movie, it bugged me as a kid, and I mean, there are a few things that bug me now more as an adult than I did as a kid. But the number one thing that bothered me as a kid watching this was to bend fire, you had to have fire around you.
Yes.
In the movie, when in the series, they were able naturally to produce. The only people who needed the actual element to be around them was the waterbenders.
True, because Ira, I'll never forgive them for that, but there at the end, he gets all pissy and
he goes Super Saiyan. No, his eyes turn red,
which is pretty rad. Yeah, his eyes turn red as fuck, and then they're like, But even then, like, oh my god, he's bending fire out of nothing. Well, I guess we're gonna run away. and then he never does it. And then he
witch.
They're like, burn him, burn the witch. Like literally, like, and then he runs because that was the part of the whole point. You didn't. The only people who had to have it was the waterbenders, and everybody else could just do whatever. I mean, like, you could argue that the earthbenders needed to have it around, but it's literally everywhere.
Yeah,
so
exactly. You can't. So same thing with air too.
You can say the same thing with air. But then
it gave Fire Nation my point, and if I'm the Water Nation and I'm powered by the moon's moonlight, I guess, or just really just the moon being out in general.
Yeah.
Why would the Fire Nation even need to? Why not just blast every fire source and the whole Fire Nation, just make it completely dark? They have nothing to bend with besides the little pointy swords, which I swear you see the same people fighting in every scene for like 5 minutes straight out, and then it's just all just CGI imploded and just jumping over everybody, forming rocks, and everything. Which I would say the actual elements part of it looked good. As far as the straight pure materials, the bending sucked all of the board to me.
The bending did suck. Yes.
Fire, you had to have a fire source. Water, I mean, barely at most. They trapped people on ice that, or had little water bubbles and had no fluidity to it. Besides, and they all had shapes. Where water bending and water in general is a lot more fluid than what they portray.
Yeah.
Earth. The stomp the yard guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those fucking stomp the yard guys doing a fucking skit, and then one tiny little rock comes across the screen sweet.
And it was multiple times where it was just either be little rocks. I mean, there was no kind of form or creativity or anything, especially when you have anything to go off of. I mean, you could have had people just propelling themselves up with rocks and looking really good.
Yeah, we don't have anybody like dodging an attack with rocks because they like shoot themselves up on a pillar of rock or anything. We have them like blocking something with like a pillar coming out,
and then it immediately disappears.
And then it immediately disappears. Like it would stay there until you're right. Like it's like, and the bending aspect of it definitely extremely falls flat and is extremely disappointing. And like obviously with cartoons you can literally do anything in the world, but like I mean it's M. Night Shyamalan and it's a big Hollywood blockbuster budget. Like you can put some more time into devoting to making the bending a little bit more epic.
Especially like I think they probably spent a lot of their CGI budget probably on Appa and Momo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which where the fuck was Momo?
Where was Appa? Like most of it.
Appa wasn't even there a whole lot too, which is sad because he does look really cute. Yeah. And like him and Momo, like they look so cute and they look like super fun, but like they're barely even there. But they're like literally whole arcs in the show that are based around the two of them. And pretty much like make them a little bit more apparent.
They have no dialogue, no English dialogue.
And it's a kids movie, so like make the cute animals be there more.
Exactly, especially because I mean, if we're doing a kids movie, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to get kids love animals. Kids love animals that aren't real.
Yeah, you get that merchandise. Fucking sell those fucking the move units, dude. Like I like fuck. God damn it.
It's a hard one to say it's a good movie.
it's just I mean like it's 5%, but like I don't know. I guess you're really blowing my whole shit to shit because like my whole argument was definitely based around like it's a hero's journey tale. He finally accepts it. We were supposed to get 2 more, but because this one fell flat with people, we didn't get to see the fruition of him accepting it and him really going into the Avatar like role. But the bones of the story hit that, even though the dialogue and the acting, I mean, kid actors are usually pretty terrible and stuff, so like I can forgive them for that. But I mean, literally, like, you just destroyed my whole argument. Like, yeah, the bones are there because it's based off one of the best TV shows that's ever been made. So everything else I had to say about it is kind of irrelevant at this point.
I meant to bring this up when we were talking about Zuko earlier.
Oh, God.
And it's the one thing that, like,
it's the best.
I just absolutely hated about his character. And that was his scar. His scar, it was very minor. And in a lot of angles, it looked like just a little cheekbone line.
It's honestly like they didn't... they didn't want to deal with the continuity and like the budget of like making a scar that was continuously there.
Which is crazy because you gotta think about it. All it probably takes is like some very dark blush and just like just billions
in the face.
Day, they like, put it on all the white actors with the to make them just less slightly big.
Well, you gotta remember he's not a white actor, so they're not gonna increase the budget on him. Oh my god. Oh god.
So it's just one of those things. It's like. That was his determined thing, and like in the TV series, he touches a lot. Like especially if he's like, "Hey, I need to restore my honor."
Yeah, because it's like a remembrance thing of him to like remember his shame and like his stuff like that. And yeah, it's like you see it kind of like the most they put into it is the first time we see him, they really focus in on it, and then after that, they were like, and we'll only do wide shots for him from the other side, so we don't have to do that again.
Very much so. And
you can't really feel that.
Very few face.
Because when it first came up, I like wrote down in my notes, like when we were watching it, I was like, the scar looks really good. Like it looks pretty good for like a live action, but then you never see it again.
Yeah, at all. Maybe
they literally only did it good for that one.
That one scene right after Amon Zhao just bitched his ass in front of all his
when he gets roasted.
Which, I would say that was an aspect that I liked, and I wish they had more. As with regular actors, you have more potential for more people to talk, more characters you can care about, instead of hand drawing these characters on a screen and making those people talk. That takes a lot more out of the budget.
Yeah,
actors, it don't really cost you for anybody to give one person one line. Most people are happy to say one line and get some kind of movie credit.
Yeah, they'll get paid. They'll be like they can build their acting career off of it.
That scene made me think that we would have more dialogue, more characters, but the only people even talking, Iroh doesn't even talk in that whole scene.
Who even is he?
Admiral Zhao. We'll get to Iroh in a minute. But Admiral Zhao and Zuko are the only ones talking in that whole scene, and went in a room probably of
hundreds of people,
hundreds of actors, and no one else talks besides those two people, and it's probably a minute and a half scene, maybe 45 seconds where Admiral Zhao saying something. 10 seconds of Zuko saying, "Hey, yo, one day you're gonna be my bitch."
Yeah, like, hey, I'm gonna get this job, and I'm gonna fucking fire your ass.
Uncle Iroh puts his tea down, and then he just walks out. Which which is crazy. Uncle Iroh would sit there and drink his tea until he finishes tea.
Yeah,
and then he'll walk out.
I mean, I remember we were watching it, and I specifically paused it to be like, we're an hour in, and he just now mentioned tea.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, like
his grandson dies, so he'll never talk about tea again.
Yes, but like they fucking they bring him in, and he's all just sitting there chilling. Iroh's such an important character, and like obviously we're not gonna have what's the name of the episode with him in the tree, and it's like so sad but so good.
Alone. This episode's called Alone.
Yeah, but that whole
the little Kid Nation boy in the second season where Zuko Alone is what it's called, and I think it's the highest rated episode of Avatar.
Wait, I'm talking about Iroh, the one where he's going with the tree and shit.
You're talking about the season 3 episode where it's Tales of Bossing Say, and everybody has their own what's called little tales.
Don't get me wrong, obviously we weren't going to be able to get into that, but exactly, we weren't going to get into that in this because again that would be in the third movie if they were ever going to allude to it, but where is that side of
Iroh? And soft side. Everything he says now is slightly wisdom, but the character is not a very lovable character.
Ira is like a terrible character in this but he's so important. Like he has, he redeems himself. Like he goes Super Saiyan and gets them all to leave, and he's like, no, you gotta sacrifice yourself, girl. It's the only way we can stop him and stuff. And like he betrays the Fire Nation, all that, and like that's great. But like, where the fuck is he in the rest of it? He is so important to Zuko's arc, which is great and like really fleshed out. But they don't do that, and it's like. And it's like, what?
Another thing that really bothers me about this movie, and it goes down to imagery. There's a lot of things I have wrong imagery-wise in this movie, especially the bending side of it.
Yeah.
But they take away from the colorfulness of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV series.
It's M. Night Shyamalan, so it's going to be like
black.
Dark, literally dark and like monochromatic and stuff, even though there's so much color. And it's a lively world.
That was the thing that I think really made Avatar really strong was how colorful and kidful it made it look.
Yeah.
And when they were fighting, it was very hard to tell who was the Water Nation, who was the Fire Nation.
Who the fuck is even fighting who right now? Yeah, which again attacks it's a kids movie, and it's like, oh yeah, the kids are supposed to be able to distinguish the difference between their uniforms. Because it's so dark and all you can see is the basic outlines of their uniforms.
Yeah. Like the only people who wore the colors, I think, were the Earth Nation, and very beginning, Sokka and Katara.
Yeah, they wear blue when they first get into the Earth Kingdom, and then other than that, it's.
Which Iroh was always wearing either red when he was still part of the Fire Nation, but after he kind of like him and Zuko went on the run from Azula in the TV series, I think he was wearing like earthy tones.
Yeah, he was wearing more earthy tones.
He's wearing straight black, and I guess that's one thing. I guess, and that's his trademark is that he likes darker tones. And
I guess,
but that I think takes away from what Avatar: Last Airbender and the kidness of it, and whereas you can have hard subjects, but the color and animation of it, or the imagery of it, makes you believe, hey, this is a kid show. This is something that is made for kids, and even though it might have darker tones, you can still get lightened up the mood with those falls. It's like a sunroof, a sunroof in a black car. A sunroof in a black leather car. If you don't have a sunroof, your car probably feels a little bit more closed in. You pop a sunroof or anything in there, for whatever reason, that color starts coming in a little bit more. You feel a little bit more space. And maybe it'd be the same thing. Maybe I'm just yanking what's called grabbing something from nowhere. But
no, I mean that makes sense. I have a dark car with a sunroof, and if it didn't have a sunroof, it would be less nice.
And it's all placebo. It's all about how you feel, and that's why movies and TV shows are great, because they're supposed to, especially kid shows, they're supposed to make you feel something.
Yeah. So we're getting towards the end here, mostly because I don't have much to say at this point.
And I guarantee you, every time you start bringing us on, I'm like, oh, and also.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, okay, we're getting. I know we could talk forever about it, but so can you give me like a couple of sentences of why this is a bad movie, and let me see if I have any last minute rebuttals that I could save.
The reason this movie is piss poor at best is it took something that a lot of kids held near and dear to their hearts and turned it into something that was completely unrecognizable. Whether it was hearing it, watching it, seeing it, I mean, just anything that was supposed to take me into where I was, or a lot of nostalgia it was completely changed for the worse. I can't name much that they changed in this movie that I liked, and they changed a lot, so therefore I need to like a lot, and that's the reason why I think this movie is, as we call, piss poor and out here in the Wild Wild West.
Yep. Yeah, I can't really. I mean, again, my whole argument was really based on that it was a kids movie, and his hero's arc and the bones of it were good, and like, even though the acting wasn't great, maybe it would have been better in the next one, but we never got the next one. And as you reminded me, the show's incredible, so of course the bones were good. They were already there.
I'm ready for another redemption. I mean, what's the worst? I mean, the thing is, we're supposed to have 2 series, and one that's got canceled now, and then one that the original creators are supposed to be doing. They were supposed to be on the Netflix TV series.
Yeah, they were going to.
But then they left that because they didn't get creative freedom, and they're still saying they're coming out with that Netflix show. I'll just wait for the next.
Well, we're definitely gonna. I think we'll definitely need to sit down again once the show comes out, and we can watch the whole show, and we can talk about, maybe do an update on the live action Avatar, because I mean, even with the creators not being in it anymore for creative reasons, I hope it would still be pretty good.
Well, you know what not to do.
Yeah, they know way. Yeah, they have a perfect example of what not to do. And with that, I think I'm gonna have to just go ahead and concede and lose 3 times in a row on my own show. I'm getting worse at this, I feel like. Granted, this one was really hard. 5%. I obviously love Avatar: Last Airbender, the show. This was hard. This was hard to get to. But again, I truly didn't think about all of my good points were because the source material is so good. And you actually genuinely did, like, remind me of that, and I was like, fuck. Like, fuck, you're right. Like, that 5% is literally because it's based on something amazing. So I guess with that, we're gonna have to dethrone Austin from the last episode, and Justin is now
reigning champ,
the master debater. Ooh. Justin is the master debater. He's so good at it. I know he has so much practice with master debating.
I'm really the best, and it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. God damn it. All right, well, I really don't have anything else to say of it, other than I would genuinely really be interested to see if the second and third one came out, and see if that helped the first one, because again, the bones are there. Maybe they would have taken all the criticism that everybody in the world gave them and done something a little bit more appropriate and a little bit better in the second one, but the studio obviously was like, no, fuck you, we're done. Like, you're terrible. M. Night Shyamalan, your career's done. Again, that show on Apple TV looks pretty good. Maybe I'll check it out. Don't know. I'm mad at him right now. I can tell you that. Have been mad at him for a little bit, but Justin's the master debater. Please continue to listen. Please follow. I'm gonna win one of these at one point, but you can only find that out if you follow and you rate 5 stars, please. Again, if not 5 stars for me, 5 stars for my host, who apparently know more about movies than I do. But it's really hard to argue against the obvious, to be honest. It's really hard, and I've kind of set myself up for that, and I thought it'd be a fun challenge, but losing is not fun, so maybe on the next one. I got the next one already kind of brewing and in mind, and that one's gonna be a little difficult because the guy I got for the next one actually does work in the film industry, so has actually made some award-winning short films. So that one's gonna be really hard. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna dive into horror pretty hard, and that's my go-to because Halloween's coming up and everything. So I have a little bit more say in that because that's like my bread and butter right there. Speaking of horror, be sure to follow on Instagram because I'm going to be trying to do the 31 for 31 Halloween horror movies for 31 days of October, and I'm going to be doing, these are going to be good movies. I'm going to be watching good movies, and I'm going to be doing quick like 5-star out of 5-star reviews of everything I watch. Some that are classics that I love, so they'll be 5 stars, and I'll kind of talk about them. Some I haven't seen yet, and I'll give my honest opinion after seeing them for the first time. So follow on Instagram to get updated with those. If you also are going for a 31 for 31, it's really hard to do. Maybe there'll be double feature days, and then be days where I don't do anything for like 2 days because I got shit going on. But yeah, follow, rate, review, vote on this one on Instagram when I put the poll up. I think I know how this one's going to go. It's going to be a similar me just being like, just to get some fluidity to the poll.
I think it's all going to depend on like what you felt as a kid. If this makes you feel some type of way, you'll like this because you think it's kind of nostalgia and you think
I know, but I think the problem is and like really the defining factor of why it's not good is even if I hadn't seen the show, the acting and everything would make it bad because like I could argue it that the bones are good because it's based off the show and I get what they're going for, so I can give it some grace and some forgiveness of that, of like everything else falling a little flat. But if you've never seen any of it, don't know anything about it,
that's true,
and all you want is a CGI circle jerk, then you're gonna love it. But if you like story and like plot
and the
series at all, then this is ass. So once again, congratulations, Justin. You're the master debater, and stay tuned for me to maybe finally win one of these.
Thank you for having me, Jacob. I appreciate it, and I'll be back around too.
You'll be back. We'll talk about other movies, and we'll definitely come in and talk about that show once it finally gets released at some point.
Something that's a little easier for you.
Maybe something that's a little bit easier. God, please keep listening. I swear I'm gonna win one of these guys. All right. Well, thanks, y'all. Have a good one, and maybe M. Night Shyamalan will do something good again one day.
Doubtful.
Sorry, M. Night, but doubtful.